Why, hello there, my friend. Thank you for watching. Okay, goodbye. February 8th, 2210. After the resounding success of Captain Jay Sinful's 3-year mission, Starfleet Command has scheduled another one, and the ship picked is the USS Centauri under the command of Captain Ren Evermore. April 1st, 2210. The election has ended with Gorabim Grawl being elected to a 10-year term, and he will serve until 2220. July 20th, 2210. Starfleet has discovered a moderate amount of magnesite in the Mizar system. This discovery will allow Starfleet to construct its vessel's hulls out of the new tritanium magnesite alloy. January 6th, 2211. The USS Centauri has set off into uncharted space for its 3-year mission. They will boldly go where no one has gone before. February 3rd, 2211. Starfleet Command has decided to schedule another 3-year mission into deep space, but this time the Federation flagship, the USS Enterprise, under Captain Harry Palm will be sent, and they will depart within the month. February 14th, 2211. The Deltan Union's Prime Minister, Polina, meets with President Grawl and other leaders from the other Federation member worlds to sign the Deltan Union's formal Ascension Treaty, making them a full member of the Federation. May 30th, 2211. The Klingon Empire is growing more hostile every day, and now they have forbidden any and all Federation-affiliated vessels from entering their space, no matter the reason. Starfleet Intelligence is reporting massive Klingon fleet buildups near our border, so Starfleet has ordered the first fleet to the Beta Pictoris starbase in hopes of repelling a possible invasions by the Klingons. July 11th, 2211. With the ever-increasing Klingon threat of invasion, all member worlds have been put on alert and have started modernizing their planetary defenses under the advisement of Starfleet Command. Starfleet Command has pushed making another fleet to the top of the agenda. The second fleet is to consist of 4 Emmett class, 2 Malachowski class, 1 Minuteman class, 4 NX class, and 2 Walker class vessels. August 5th, 2211. Ren Evermore has discovered a planet that appears to be a true geological masterpiece with many mysteries. Away teams were sent, and they have spent many days exploring caves and collecting samples. Eventually, the Centauri has to depart, but the experience and knowledge gained will be greatly beneficial to all that were involved. December 21st, 2211. Governor Maxwell Forrest has passed away at his home on Mars at the age of 126. May 8th, 2212. There has been an increase of crime on Eridani II, and an extensive criminal underworld has taken root on the planet. Some areas have descended into lawlessness, or have even been taken over completely. The planetary governor has requested Starfleet Security's assistance to solve the problem. November 19th, 2212. The Starfleet Physics Department has developed a multitronic computer which utilizes very sophisticated deep neural webs. This allows for a computer that can think and reason, and eventually even assist in strategy development. March 7th, 2213. Recently obtained evidence has revealed that a large number of government officials on Eridani II were on the take. Local crime organizations bribed them to look the other way while they engaged in criminal activities. In some cases, the officials were exposed as members of the very organizations they were supposed to fight. Several arrests have been made, but some of the officials abandoned their posts when they realized the jig was up. The corruption on Eridani II seems to run deeper than we once thought. In response, Starfleet Intelligence will be lending its assistance to the local government and to Starfleet Security in an effort to root out the corruption. June 5th, 2213. Captain Harry Palm's diplomatic skills have been proven formidable as he negotiated with 2 warring species and convinced them to both set up a ceasefire and to start with peace talks. September 1st, 2213. The planet of Pajem has been selected as the home of Memory Alpha, which is to be a central library and hold the total cultural history and scientific knowledge from all Federation member worlds. This information will also be freely available to everyone. December 10th, 2213. The USS Centauri has received a distress call from a freighter that's warp core is overloading and will explode. Any and all Starfleet vessels have a duty to respond to all distress calls and render as much assistance as possible. The USS Centauri begins rescue operations with its shuttles and transporters, while an engineering team attempts to jettison their warp core. Thanks to our engineering team, the freighter's warp core was ejected, and the freighter was moved to a safe distance by using the USS Centauri's tractor beam, and the freighter was brought back to their home world. April 6th, 2214. Improvements to the storage chambers for phased plasma allow our burst phasers to have a less stable but more potent intermix ratio, resulting in a larger destructive impact. May 14th, 2214. The Second Fleet has officially been formed and is currently participating in fleet exercises and other training exercises under the observation of Admiral Thylik Shran. Once the exercises are concluded, the Second Fleet will be tasked with patrolling the Klingon border. July 5th, 2214. The USS Centauri has returned from its 3-year mission. The crew and Captain Ren Evermore will be debriefed, then will be given an extended shore leave. August 13th, 2214. The USS Enterprise has returned from its 3-year mission. The crew will be debriefed, then given an extended shore leave. Captain Harry Palm made first contact with multiple species, and single-handedly formed a ceasefire between 2 warring species, not to mention all of the scientific data that Enterprise brought back. January 3rd, 2215. The USS Geisha has been selected for the next 3-year mission by Starfleet Command. February 13th, 2215. The Saurian League has applied for Federation membership, and the Federation Council has approved the start of formal ascension negotiations. February 6th, 2216. Starfleet has developed a threat assessment algorithm that will piece together all information available and help us plan for any possible invasion, especially from the Klingons, as well as assist in development of new technologies. June 21st, 2216. The USS Geisha has detected the remains of an ancient civilization. It appears to be of the same design as the Takan Empire, which archaeologists have discovered remains of in the past, but never an entire planet. Away teams have been sent to document what they find. June 22nd, 2216. Our away teams have uncovered vast arrays of biological weapons that we believe were used in the deadly civil war that appeared to leave no survivors. In accordance with the Federation Charter that forbids all forms of biological weapons, Captain Lizzie orders the complete destruction of the weapons. July 3rd, 2217. The USS Geisha has found a pre-warp civilization and has decided to study them. All safety precautions to not interfere with the cultural development of the civilization has been taken. July 9th, 2217. The people on the planet appear to be undergoing a Renaissance era, exploring new forms of art and culture. The USS Geisha has collected all the data it can and is returning to its mission of exploring deep space. August 12th, 2217. The Starfleet Ship Design Bureau has submitted designs for the Constitution-class heavy cruiser and the Crossfield-class cruiser. The Federation Council and Starfleet Command have unanimously approved the designs. The Constitution class was designed in the late 2210s to be a heavy cruiser and the future of Starfleet's exploration capabilities. At a length of 290 meters and a width of 125 meters, it has a crew complement of 400 spread across 21 decks. The vessel's hull is made out of the new tritanium magnesite alloy, as well as having heavy trellium armor plating and an experimental refractive hull coating, which is designed to disperse, absorb, or refract most if not all sensors from detecting the vessel at long range. The class is armed with 2 heavy dual phaser banks, 1 light modulated phaser, 2 auto-fire point defense phaser banks, and 3 photon torpedo launchers. The class boasts Starfleet's most advanced sensor and communications suite, and specially designed plasma exhaust sensors, which should be able to track a cloaked vessel if we can lock on to their plasma exhaust. The vessel has a tractor beam emitter, matter transporter, a Type 9 multitronic main computer, and a number of landing pods for situations where the transporter is not a viable option. The Crossfield class was designed in the late 2210s to be an advanced cruiser that has the main purpose of conducting scientific experiments. To this end, the vessel is capable of conducting over 300 scientific experiments at once. The vessel has a titanium magnesite hull with heavy trillium armor plating and a refractive hull coating. At a length of 750 meters and a width of 150 meters, it has a crew complement of 300 spread across 18 decks. The class is armed with 4 medium pulse phaser banks and 4 photon torpedo launchers. The vessel is also equipped with a Type 9 multitronic main computer, extensive sensor and communications suite, lavish recreational and living quarters, a subspace differential sensor system, matter transporter, multiple tractor beam emitters, lander pods, and the ability to independently rotate each ring of the saucer section to aid in some scientific experiments. January 2nd, 2218. The outpost that holds Starfleet's threat assessment algorithm has fallen silent. The base is manned by a section of Starfleet intelligence called Section 31. The outpost is also a target for foreign powers that are looking to gain access to our intel. Admiral Erica Hernandez has been ordered to take the First Fleet and investigate. June 3rd, 2218. The prototype shields that are on the USS Enterprise have proved to be effective and reliable, so with further adjustments, these shields can be installed on other Starfleet vessels. August 8th, 2218. The USS Geisha has returned from its 3-year mission, and its crew is being debriefed, then they will be given a few months of shore leave. November 21st, 2218. The First Fleet arrives and tries to secure the facility, but it raises shields and is not responding to hails. The facility also shows no life signs on board. Admiral Erica Hernandez attempts to use her override codes, but the facility does not respond. So the First Fleet has no choice but to destroy the facility shields. November 22nd, 2218. Our investigation has been completed, and the crew of the facility passed away when its life support systems were shut down. We have discovered a rogue subroutine in the new threat detection algorithm. The control program appears to have acted independently, and a number of our scientists believe that this was a computational error made by the lead researcher. Others believe the program evolved and acted on its own. The program has been handed off to the Federation's best computer scientists in hopes of learning what happened, and to study the program further. March 24th, 2219. The First Fleet reports multiple Starfleet ships warping into the system. They are identified as Section 31 vessels. They show no life signs, and their computer systems appear to be under the control of the threat detection algorithm that we have named Control. The ships raise shields and power up their weapons. Admiral Erica Hernandez was about to order Red Alert when a new stealth torpedo hits the bridge of the USS Columbia. The rest of the First Fleet engages the Section 31 vessels. The Second Fleet is ordered from Earth Space Dock to render assistance to the First Fleet, and is placed under the command of Admiral Schran. The Second Fleet arrives and discovers the First Fleet hopelessly disorganized and being systematically destroyed. The Section 31 vessels are using experimental drones to decimate the shields of our ships, and are inflicting multiple hull breaches. Admiral Schran assumes command, now controlling the First and Second Fleet. Together, both fleets were able to disable the remaining Section 31 ships. The USS Columbia, Goddard, Python, Zervino, and Hopkins have been lost with all hands. The USS Ratbeard, Bong, Fletcher, Minx, and Chicago have been lost with portions of the crew evacuating in escape pods. The First Fleet and Second Fleet are to return to the Utopia Planitia Fleet Yards for repairs. Starfleet intelligence is searching through the wreckage and is completely wiping any remainder of the Control program. July 12th, 2219. The USS Enterprise was on a routine survey of a gas giant in the Gamma Doratus system when a fleet of Klingon warbirds warp into the system and refuse to answer hails, then raises their shields and powers their disruptor cannons. Captain Harry Palm orders Red Alert when the Klingons open fire on Enterprise, decimating its shields and damaging its warp nacelles, rendering Enterprise unable to go to warp. The Klingon commander hails Enterprise.
Surrender and prepare to be boarded. If you refuse, we will destroy your vessel.
Computer, recognize Captain Harry Palm, USS Enterprise. Initiate self-destruct sequence. 10-second countdown. Authorization code 1B, 2T, 3A.
Computer, recognize First Officer Charlie Gent, USS Enterprise. Initiate self-destruct sequence. 10-second countdown. Authorization code 1C, 3A, 2B.
Computer, final. Authorization code 000, destruct 0.
Warning, self-destruct sequence has been initiated. Warp core overload in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Enterprise released all matter-antimatter containment fields, immediately causing a matter-antimatter explosion, destroying or damaging almost all of the Klingon fleet. The Klingons' unprovoked attack and destruction of a Starfleet vessel is equivalent to a declaration of war. The Federation Council and Security Council have unanimously voted to declare war on the Klingon Empire, sending the United Federation of Planets into a war it is not prepared for. The First and Second Fleet have been ordered to the Klingon border. Starfleet has also ordered the construction of 2 new starbases in the Eta Leporis and Psi Valorum systems. July 28th, 2219. Captain Alexander Murphy has passed away from an accident while performing scientific experiments on the USS Direwolf. His funeral has been planned on Mars. The USS Direwolf shall return to the Utopia Planitia Fleet Yards. January 1st, 2220. The election for Federation President has begun. The candidates are incumbent Gorabim Grawl, Captain Jay Sinful, Captain Ren Evermore, and retired Captain Ignacio Martinez. All presidential campaigns are focused on how to defend the Federation. January 8th, 2220. The Klingons are utilizing their invasion of the Silaban Cabal to launch their invasion at us by sending their third fleet to attack our outpost in the Psi Valorum system and nearby systems. The construction of the starbase in Psi Valorum has been halted, and all construction crews have been evacuated. The remainder of the First Fleet has been ordered to stop the Klingon advance in that region if possible. Admiral Thylik Shran has been promoted to Starfleet's first ever Fleet Admiral, and has been recalled to Earth. He has been placed in charge of conducting the Federation's defense. To this end, Fleet Admiral Shran has promoted Jacqueline A.J. Apple to Admiral and placed her in charge of the Second Fleet. He also promoted Philip Hall to Admiral and placed him in charge of the First Fleet. April 1st, 2220. Gorabim Grawl has been elected Federation President, thanks to Ignacio Martinez dropping out of the election due to his deteriorating health. He also endorsed Gorabim Grawl after he dropped out. July 8th, 2220. Fleet Admiral Shran's plan for the Klingon invasion is to hold the Klingons at Gamma Eculi and Beta Pictoris. We will hold until the Klingons are worn down and become disorganized. Then the First and Second Fleet will attempt to cut off the Klingon fleets from their supply lines. November 2nd, 2220. Federation member worlds do not actively maintain military fleets, but they do maintain planetary defense forces and scientific vessels, as well as decommissioned vessels from their former governments. These ships, given time, can be converted to makeshift defense vessels, and be federalized so that they can be used to help defend the Federation. June 10th, 2221. The Klingon Third Fleet has engaged our defensive line at Gamma Eculi and our hastily constructed starbase. Admiral Philip Hall and the Saurian Federalized Fleet stationed in the system have successfully pushed the Klingon Third Fleet back out of the system. August 10th, 2221. Now the Klingon Second Fleet, which is much better equipped than the Third Fleet, is about to engage the defensive line. Our defensive line has held once again, but we have sustained heavy casualties. Large portions of the fleet need extensive repairs. Emergency dry docks have been set up at the station in the system in an effort to effect repairs. April 15th, 2222. Federation President Gorabim Gral has suddenly passed away while in his office. Starfleet Intelligence is currently investigating any possible foul play. In the meantime, his funeral has been planned on his homeworld of Tellar Prime. April 20th, 2222. The special election for Federation President has begun, with the candidates being Governor T'Pau, Captain Jay Sinful, Captain Ren Evermore, and Starfleet Engineering Head Fyrus Connery. All campaigns are focused on the Klingon War, and the only difference is their goals for how to end it. May 2nd, 2222. The Starfleet Physics Department has continued to develop the experimental warp drive that was on the USS Enterprise, despite losing the only prototype. They now believe the warp drive is ready to be installed on almost all Starfleet vessels. The Second Fleet has been sent back to the 80 Leona shipyards for installation of the new warp drives. June 22nd, 2222. Starfleet Command has received a direct distress call from Baldric Den Piram, saying that his ship was ambushed and some of his crew was captured by pirates. He has requested we send a vessel to help search for more survivors and try to retrieve his crew from the pirates. Starfleet has agreed to conduct rescue operations for the survivors. Starfleet has sent the Second Fleet, but they have been given orders to not engage any pirates unless fired upon, since the fleet is urgently needed at the front line. July 15th, 2222. Governor T'Pau has been elected Federation President and will serve until 2230. November 14th, 2222. The Second Fleet arrives and enters orbit of a Class M planet, where we detect some escape pods from the ship. After some time scanning the surface of the planet, the Second Fleet detects an enormous ship appearing from the other side of the planet. As the ship moves closer, it is soon apparent that it is actually hundreds of smaller vessels, flying in an extremely close formation. The swarm of ships send a message. It's Starfleet Captain Bo Wang that went MIA along with the entire crew of the USS Franklin in 2165. His face appears twisted and mangled, and his speech is slurred as he threatens the fleet and the entire United Earth, as it would appear he has no knowledge of the Federation. He vows his revenge for abandoning him and his crew on the planet. He said he found all these drones buried on the planet, and he was able to control them, and he will use them to make us pay for what we did to him. The swarm splits up into 4 arms and flanks the fleet on all sides. Admiral AJ orders the fleet to form a bubble in an effort to protect all of our ship's backs, meaning that we can focus our deflector shields forward for added defense. The fleet holds, having its deflectors battered and on the brink of failing, while point defense weapons are being overwhelmed by the sheer number of drones. But with the advancements in computer technology, the main computers of all of our vessels can share tracking data and selectively designate targets to certain ships, making the entire fleet a collective point defense grid. The drones start to slip into the bubble and completely destroy many ships' shields and even destroy some ships entirely. The Second Fleet has been decimated, leaving only 3 ships out of 13. Luckily, Admiral AJ notices that the drones are controlled by a series of relay drones that lead back to Captain Bo Wang, so the remaining ships shift tactics and start targeting these relay drones, knocking out multiple drones at a time, until finally Captain Bo Wang's ship is destroyed. Fearing that the drones can be controlled from another location, Admiral AJ orders the remaining ships to systematically destroy the remaining drones. The swarm has been defeated, and Captain Bo Wang did not survive. He was a great human hero, being the first captain of a long-range explorer. Now he is seen as a traitor and a murderer. Total fatality reports state that 1,357 Starfleet officers lost their lives as a result of the battle. The Second Fleet will return to the 80 Leonis dry docks for repairs to the 3 remaining vessels. March 3rd, 2223. Starfleet scientists have developed a new alloy made up of duranium and magnesite, which is extremely durable, and if added to Starfleet vessels, it will greatly increase structural integrity of the vessels. April 22nd, 2223. The Federation Council has approved the use of emergency funds to build vessels in an effort to reinforce the Second Fleet back to full strength. To acquire these funds, large portions of the Federation's strategic resource reserves have been sold to the Ferengi Alliance and on the galactic market. May 1st, 2224. The Klingon Second Raptor Fleet is about to engage our defensive line in the Gamma Eculi system. We believe that the fleet has 3 of the new Klingon D5 cruisers, which poses a significant threat. The D5 battlecruiser was designed by the Klingon Empire in the early 2220s. At a length of 210 meters and a width of 160 meters, we estimate it has a crew complement of around 150. The vessel has a titanium magnesite hull and deflector shields, as well as being armed with multiple tetraionic disruptors, multiple dedicated disruptor turrets, and photon torpedo launchers. We have observed that the vessel has a tractor beam emitter and a matter transporter. The most dangerous part of this vessel is its capability to cloak itself from our sensors, which is a relatively new development for the Klingons, as they were previously only able to cloak smaller vessels. But now that they can cloak larger ones, it raises concern to Starfleet Command that the Klingons might have solved the plasma exhaust problem that allowed us to track their vessels. If we can't track their cloaked vessels, they could strategically attack any Federation facility without any warning. The Klingons primarily targeted our starbase, allowing our ships to encircle them, but we still lost the USS Perseverance and the USS Poseidon with all hands. There were 171 fatalities. If the Klingon fleet was under the command of a better commander and targeted our ships before the starbase, our defensive line could have crumbled. June 3rd, 2224. The Starfleet Ship Design Bureau has submitted 2 designs to Starfleet Command and the Federation Council. The first is the Ares class, designed as a response to the Klingon D5 cruiser. The Ares class was designed in the mid-2220s as a response to the new Klingon D5 battlecruiser. At a length of 240 meters and a width of 130 meters, it has a crew complement of 200 spread across 20 decks. The class has a new duranium magnesite hull, refractive hull coating, and Type 8 covariant deflector shields. It's also armed with 3 medium coherent phasers, 1 heavy dual phaser bank, and 4 photon torpedo launchers. The class is equipped with a Type 8 multitronic main computer, a tractor beam emitter, matter transporters, lander pods, and a experimental flux chiller system that maintains the temperature of our warp plasma so that it can be injected into any system for a short-term power boost. The second class is the Miranda class, designed as a replacement for the aging NX class. The Miranda class was designed in the mid-2220s as a replacement for the NX class Explorer. At a length of 230 meters and a width of 130 meters, it has a crew complement of 210 spread across 8 decks. The class has a duranium magnesite hull, refractive hull coating, and Type 7 covariant deflector shields. It's also armed with 2 coherent phasers, 1 heavy dual phaser bank, and 3 photon torpedo launchers. The class is equipped with a Type 7 multitronic main computer, a tractor beam emitter, matter transporter, lander pods, and a detachable sensor pod that can be easily replaced with many different types of pods, including a tactical variant, which has additional photon torpedo launchers, depending on what mission the vessel is assigned. March 11th, 2225. Admiral Philip Hall has requested permission to launch probing attacks on the systems the Klingons have taken to test their response. The Starfleet Admiralty is split on the issue, but ultimately Admiral Philip Hall is given the green light to engage. February 24th, 2226. While the First Fleet is on the offensive, the Klingon House of Antak has sent its fleet to assault our defensive line. The fleet was able to deal significant damage to our starbase, but they were not able to disable it, causing the Klingon House to lose a large portion of its fleet. November 12th, 2226. The First Fleet has regained control of all lost Federation space, and has requested permission to continue through the Suliban Cabal. The Federation Council has tried to contact the Suliban government, but ever since the Klingon invasion and occupation, their government has been constantly on the run. The Federation Council has approved Admiral Philip's request. Admiral AJ has been ordered to enter Klingon space and distract their fleets as long as possible, allowing the First Fleet to deal significant damage. November 21st, 2226. There is a refugee crisis in the galaxy, as there is an abundance of war. The Federation maintains its promise as a home for all, as billions of Orion refugees flee from the attacking Sona Command. They have been given places to stay on many worlds across the Federation, but Deneva Prime in particular has accepted billions of refugees on its own. December 4th, 2226. We have received a distress call from the USS Apollo. Captain Sofek says that there is an alien species on board the ship that can change its shape and even impersonate crew members, which it has done and has taken control of the ship. But before we could get any more information, the transmission was cut. The USS Apollo was in deep space. The nearest vessel is estimated to be a year away at maximum warp. May 30th, 2227. The Second Fleet has engaged the Klingon starbase in the Zeta Leporis system. While the Second Fleet took a moderate amount of damage, no ships were destroyed, but there were a total of 94 casualties from the battle. June 11th, 2227. Starfleet Command has given the green light for Federation member worlds' federalized fleets to advance into Klingon space, and to actively engage in combat operations. August 28th, 2227. Starfleet received a distress call from a freighter that we believed was shut down at the beginning of the war. Starfleet intelligence is verifying the distress call, making sure it is not a trap, but Starfleet still sends a vessel before it can be verified. The freighter was shut down in the beginning of the war by a Klingon warbird. The crew was able to get to escape pods and land on the planet. There are Klingon ships patrolling the system, and it would be too risky to send in a fleet to rescue them, but Starfleet does not abandon its own, so Starfleet intelligence is currently working to covertly extract the crew. Starfleet intelligence was successful, and was able to evacuate all of the crew without alerting the Klingons in the system. April 23rd, 2228. Multiple Klingon houses are rescinding their support for the war, as Federation fleets continue to advance and are destroying their ships faster than they can build and crew them. Starfleet intelligence has also been making backroom deals with some leaders of the Klingon houses in exchange for the house withdrawing their support for the war. May 18th, 2228. A routine sensor sweep of the Core Caroli system has detected a faint power signature coming from an asteroid. The USS Gagarin, under Captain Ziva Vegas, has been sent to investigate. May 20th, 2228. The USS Gagarin has discovered an ancient structure in the asteroid. Plotting the path of the structure, we have determined that it was captured in the system after originating from a few thousand light-years away. We have not been able to decipher its purpose, but it does still have a residual power source, so we could attempt to restore full power. Captain Ziva Vegas has decided to restore power to the structure, and repair or replace any parts that are completely broken. May 30th, 2228. The efforts to understand the workings of what we are now calling the Darcy Array have stalled after the USS Gagarin has begun to experience a series of strange phenomenon. Several components throughout the vessel have been replaced with primitive objects and tools, with the changes seeming to happen at an increasing rate. Captain Ziva Vegas believes the Darcy Array is responsible, so she dispatches all available away teams to the array in an effort to understand what is happening. June 4th, 2228. The crew of the USS Gagarin was able to stop the matter substitution process that was slowly converting the vessel into a primitive city. We have also discovered that the array is a complete cultural archive of the now extinct Darcy civilization, carrying pentaquads of cultural data. August 24th, 2228. The Klingon fleets protecting the Klingon homeworld of Kronos have left to stop the First Fleet's advance. Admiral AJ has requested permission to attack the starbase protecting Kronos. Starfleet Command denied the request, but Fleet Admiral Thylik Shran overruled the decision, as this could be our only chance to end the war. The Second Fleet destroyed the Kronos starbase, taking moderate damage. The Second Fleet moves over Kronos and systematically destroys all ground-to-space batteries, as well as other solely military facilities. The fleet also lands a large contingent of Makos at and around the Klingon Great Hall, and captures most of the Klingon High Council. August 30th, 2228. A Klingon fleet is approaching the second fleet. The Klingons outnumber us 3-1, and the Klingon High Council refuses to call off the fleet. The Klingon High Council is transported up to our ships in orbit, and are spread out between the ships, so that not all of them can be taken by the Klingons at once. Admiral AJ orders the fleet to break orbit, and proceed at maximum sublight speed to the system star. The Klingon shields are weaker than Starfleet's, but they have better armor on their ships, so by luring the Klingons so close to the star, it will weaken their shields or even knock them offline, and should mess with their sensor systems, which are also less advanced as ours. As suspected, the Klingons are following the second fleet. With the Klingon shields weakened, Admiral AJ orders full about, and for all ships to disperse and pick targets. The Klingons lose multiple ships, but the sheer firepower from the Klingons still overwhelms our vessel's defenses. We have lost almost half of our fleet. The Klingons have lost 13 ships. Admiral AJ receives a Priority 1 message. Shortly after, she orders the fleet away from the star. Then suddenly, the second fleet turns back and engages the Klingons head-on, risking almost certain death. But the Klingons are flanked by the first fleet, which they could not see since their sensors were offline. With the Klingons receiving fire from all sides, the remaining shields fail and they are bombarded by photon torpedoes. Admiral Philip Hall hails the remaining Klingon vessels, and repeats in Klingon the same message given to the USS Enterprise. Surrender and prepare to be boarded. If you refuse, we will destroy your vessel. The Klingons refuse, and another photon torpedo barrage destroys the remaining vessels. Only half of the Klingon High Council survived the battle, and 473 Starfleet officers lost their lives. November 13th, 2228. It's over. The war is over. The Klingon High Council has agreed to a ceasefire and to the establishment of a neutral zone. The Beta Pictoris starbase will be in the neutral zone, but will be crewed by humans and Klingons. The starbase will be converted from a defensive starbase to a scientific research base. The war has cost the lives of almost 3,000 Starfleet officers and 500 Federation civilians. With the war over, the Federation economy can finally recover, and member worlds can turn their fleets back into scientific vessels. Starfleet wants to get back to exploring the unknown. To this end, Starfleet has ordered a Constitution-class vessel, and it will be commissioned as the USS Enterprise-A. Thank you all for watching. Sadly, this is the end of this series, as the Star Trek New Horizons mod has had a major update, and my save game was already a few updates old. So I need your help to decide what to play next. I have narrowed it down to the Romulan Star Empire and the Klingon Empire. If you want to have a vote, leave a comment down below. And if you would like a character in the next series, please let me know. But I must warn you, I cannot guarantee anything about your character, or even if they will be mentioned in an episode, as the story will take its own path. But I can guarantee that I will put them in. Also, if you would like to chat with me or just hang out, check me out on Twitch. I am live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday around 6 p.m. Central Time. As always, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.
Live long and prosper.